As of March 12th, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was facing layoffs of about 10% of its employees. That's more than 1,000 workers, and follows nearly 900 layoffs last month. It's part of President Donald Trump and Elon Musk's massive push to trim the federal government. Even before those layoffs, the National Weather Service started the year with hundreds of job openings. This week on the Crossroads Suncast, the role those agencies play and how that work trickles down to the forecasts we use in our day-to-day lives. I'm Bryce Patterson.
I'm a weather nerd, what we call ourselves. I still look at weather data and models every day. It's just what I do. I enjoy it. My brother needs a forecast up in Chicago. I'll go look at things. Friends are, going on vacation or whatever. I still look at the data because I still enjoy it.
That's Pat Spoden, a retired science and operations officer from the National Weather Service in Paducah. Over the course of his 28 years at the Paducah Bureau, he's worked through huge climactic events, including the 2009 ice storm and the December 10th, 2021 tornado. Here's how he describes the work of the National Weather Service.
The National Weather Service is the backbone of weather information in the United States. Not only the numerical models that are run and are set out for free, anybody can look at them. There's information derived from those models that are sent out. Anybody can look at them. The information that goes into those models, all the observations, the radar, the satellite, the upper air balloons, what have you. In the United States, that's all run by the National Weather Service. Now, we take in information from around the globe.
All of that work is done under the broader umbrella of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and it's the basis of the weather forecasting most of us interact with every day. Here's WPSD Chief Meteorologist Trent Okerson.
There are multiple agencies, the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, the National Hurricane Center, the Weather Prediction Center, INCEP, National Center for Environmental Prediction. There are also multiple agencies that deal with oceans, marine life. And so, NOAA is a wide ranging organization. The National Weather Service is obviously who we work day to day most closely with. The vast majority of the information that we use to do our job comes from NOAA and the National Weather Service. The radar data that we use to track storms, that radar is operated and maintained by the National Weather Service. The satellites that we use to, get data as far as cloud coverage, hurricanes, again, all operated and maintained by the National Weather Service, and even the computer model data that is so important for us to look at every day to put our forecast together. Again, that primarily comes from the National Weather Service.
The work of those agencies all comes together in an emergency. As I record this episode, our area is preparing for the potential of severe storms. The National Weather Service is deeply involved there.
They are actually responsible for issuing tornado watches, warnings, winter weather advisories and warnings. All of that directly comes from them.
When severe weather rolls in, the National Weather Service pulls together leaders across the community to keep everyone safe.
They'll hold a conference call where essentially they'll give a weather briefing to broadcasters, law enforcement, emergency managers, people that are in places of decision-making, school superintendents, things like that. And so, again, that's a chance for everyone to kind of collaborate, make sure that we know, verify that we're on the same page, share new information that we may have together. And then, like I mentioned, during an event, the Weather Service chat is extremely helpful for us to be able to know, ground truth verification of what's going on outside.
Spoden describes it as an act of funneling and translating information, and that has a major impact on disaster response.
look at the fires in California. When you have a large fire, the Weather Service sends out what we call incident meteorologists. They go to the fire. They are talking to the fire bosses. They are giving them briefings. They're working 12, 16-hour days on the fire to help them understand what's going on so people don't get killed. Because the wind shift comes along and they know that the wind shift is going to come, or thunderstorms or whatever. They can plan ahead, maybe get those people out of that particular area, or maybe reinforce something. I don't know. That's their decision, but they have that information available to them.
Both Spoden and Okerson were instrumental in tracking the December 2021 tornadoes in West Kentucky and communicating the risk to save lives.
When it's happening and you're issuing the warnings, you have an idea of what's going on because of what we're seeing, the strength of the rotation, and we could see the debris going up, 30, 35,000 feet. So studies say when it gets up that high, you've got a major event, a major tornado. And you watch it move across the area and you get reports of damage, but you really don't know the breadth of it until you go start the surveys, which started at 9:00 Saturday morning. Until you're there, you just can't grasp it all.
The weight of responsibility continues long after the storm itself.
Emotionally, it scarred me, I would say. And my family, my wife talks about it, She's a meteorologist too, but she was a science teacher at the time. But she went through it just like I did. And yeah, I didn't go through it like the people of Mayfield or Dawson Springs or that. But I went through my own, what do you want to say, process of trying to deal with what goes on, where, you issue warnings, you do everything you possibly can, and we still have fatalities and we have injuries. And those are things that you mentally have to deal with.
In the wake of a storm, the National Weather Service is on the ground. It's a forensic process, investigating and learning to better prepare for the next storm.
I'm sure you've seen tornado damage footage where, hey, this house has got a little damage to it, but this one's destroyed. There's a lot of things that could go into that. Maybe this one was closer to the stronger winds, or maybe this house is not built as well as this one. Part of it is learning that may be taken on by engineers. They might take the information and say, these are the type of buildings we need to build in this particular area.
The research also goes into better tools for predicting and understanding storms.
Whenever I started here 18 years ago, we were in a completely different mode of radar. They've completely upgraded those since I've been here, and they've become much more helpful in detecting tornadoes. Every bit of weather information that you get, the foundation of that is the National Weather Service.
That brings us to the cuts at NOAA. A Trump administration official says a, quote, extensive process was conducted to, quote, ensure mission-critical functions were not compromised during staffing cuts. But on Friday, March 7th, NOAA announced it was temporarily suspending some weather balloon launches in Albany, New York, and Gray, Maine, due to a lack of Weather Forecast Office staffing. Here's how Spoden describes the risk of cuts like those.
You start losing that data, or you start losing technicians to take care of these pieces of equipment, and you start degrading the equipment, or maybe the sensor is not giving you the correct temperature and dew point. Well, if that information goes into the models and it's not stopped, or as if it's greatly reduced, well, we have the saying garbage in equals garbage out. If you're not putting in good quality data, then your forecasts on the back end are going to suffer.
The National Weather Service is uniquely situated to pull together information across the country.
That observation data is collected in a variety of ways. It's collected through reporting sites at airports, buoys in the ocean, vessels that are out in the ocean, satellites that are maintained by the National Weather Service. Even some commercial airliners are equipped with sensors that can relay back information. But again, all of that goes through the Weather Service. And if they aren't able to collect that information, well, then even a private meteorology company, if they don't have their own way to access that info, and they won't be able to, there's logistically no way that they could do that, then they don't have the means to put out information that is relevant.
Another concern? Cuts to the infrastructure that NOAA uses to track climate. The Trump administration has considered terminating the leases on some major NOAA properties, including a facility in College Park, Maryland.
That's a 286,000 square foot building that houses the Weather Prediction Center as well as the Environmental Modeling Center. It is essentially the nerve center of the National Weather Service. The forecast models that we rely on every day, the nerve center runs through that building. There are physical supercomputers there that, if that building had to be shut down, could not just be up and moved to another location in a day. You would be looking at a substantial gap in information that was missing, probably for a scale of weeks or months. Without trying to take sides, I understand that there's the need in any business or government to try to run things as efficiently as possible. I think the National Weather Service and NOAA, if you really look at the facts there, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck there.
According to most estimates, maintaining NOAA costs each individual taxpayer less than $4 a year. On February 27th, NOAA's Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory announced it was putting its communication services on an indefinite hiatus. The agency cites a reduction in staff as the cause of the change. Starting in April, NOAA will no longer offer monthly press calls detailing trends in global temperature. It's how the agency shares information on the impact of climate change. A statement from the agency reads, quote, "Due to the loss of a significant number of staff resulting from the recent release of probationary employees, the Deferred Resignation Program, and employees retiring, NCEI will no longer be able to support the monthly NOAA Communications media briefing on the U.S. and global temperature and precipitation analyses and associated products. The information usually included in those calls will still be released for free." The Crossroads Suncast is a production of Paxton Media Group, produced in collaboration between WPSD Local 6 and the Paducah Sun. For more severe weather coverage, check out our interview with meteorologist Jennifer Rukavina. You can watch her recent TV special documentary, A Century of Storms, at WPSDLocal6.com.